Starfleet intelligence has completed its analysis of the data you recovered in the Nopata system. There is a 67.47% chance that the Iconians are using the Tal Shiar as a way to influence the Romulan Star Empire, and that their persecution of the Remans is directly related to this. Command is considering lending assistance to Obisek and his forces, but before we come into direct conflict with the Romulans, we want to try a more discreet approach. The data indicates that Hakeev is operating out of the Brea system. Long-range sensor scans indicate that there may be a major Tal Shiar installation there. We want you to infiltrate this system, apprehend Hakeev, and destroy the Tal Shiar's base. Hakeev must not escape. He may be the only person who knows how extensive the Iconian influence in Romulan space is.
Starfleet Command wants us to obtain actionable intel on the Iconians. It seems that the experiences of our captain provides enough leeway to sanction some small level of cooperation with Obisek's forces, though we should remind the Admiral that Hakeev does possess Iconian gateway technology.
Hakeev had a working Iconian gateway? Fascinating. We already knew that the Iconians survived the destruction of their home world. Now we know that they are active in Romulan space, and apparently using these gladiatorial combats as a way to test the species of the Alpha Quadrant. Starfleet intelligence will analyze the data you recovered from Hakeev's command center. I must confer with Admiral Quinn and Starfleet Command. Conflict with the Romulans and the Iconians may be unavoidable.
This mission sounds almost like a Black Ops scenario, a situation designed to avoid potential disaster. We need to sweep into the Brea system, join up with Obisek's forces, and secure data on the Iconian involvement, or Colonel Hakeev himself. The Remans are attacking in force soon enough, and Starfleet will use their presence to hide the involvement of its agents. For this high-risk assignment, I have assumed command of the USS Dunkirk, a smaller, more agile tactical escort with a much higher firepower than the Armiger B. This is actually the ship I unlocked with the promotion to captain rank, and I wanted to show off the level of customization you can get with most of the designs. This profile was based on the Defiant class. Eagle eyes can probably spot the similarities. Interestingly enough, Brea 3 used to be a resort world for Romulus. Many senators had private villas located along its tropical biomes, but with the loss of much of Romulan economy, the place fell into disrepair. Seems that the reason no refugees have found their way there is because the Tal Shiar muscled in.
We have arrived in the Brea system. Preliminary scans show automated defenses and a handful of Romulan ships, most likely Tal Shiar vessels. If we're going to reach that planet and beam down safely, we'll have to breach the Romulan defenses. The weapons platforms are probably short range, but we must disable the satellites and any enemy ships in orbit, or any away team that we send to the planet will be in immediate danger. Tactically, it would be wise to draw off the ships and engage them separately from the fixed defenses. The Zedenia is prepared to assist you in the attack when you are ready.
Obisek's plan is tactically sound as long as the Romulans hold their defensive line.
Enemy vessel, you are in Romulan space. Leave immediately, or you will be destroyed.
Obisek's ship, the Zedenia, is a modified Valdor-class warbird and will provide support for us this mission. Alright, Obisek, where's your fleet? Wait, we're it? I should have expected this. The Reman resistance is just that. Where are they going to find more ships? Sealer's Star Empire has control of most of the former military assets. The Tal Shiar have their own space force, likely from the same place as Sealer's. The Romulan Republic has a myriad of colony vessels and older warbirds that had ended up in the civilian workforce, and then they supplement their navy with old loaned vessels from the Federation and the Klingons, with whom they've established an alliance. Obisek's separatists are outside all of those structures. Fortunately, the Dunkirk's main cannons can tear a vessel to shreds with a barrage of fire. Our priority, as Obisek pointed out, is to neutralise those defensive cannons. Fortunately, as a tactical officer, Hale possesses the skill set to break into the turret systems and switch their IFF recognition. switching friend to foe and turning the turrets against the Romulan fleet. That's a hell of an advantage, and with the fleet occupied fighting its own orbital defences, we're almost completely free to pick our targets and destroy them at will. This tough little ship is like a battering ram tied to a rocket, and it shows the level of firepower that Starfleet can bring to bear when push comes to shove. The theft of their turret systems does not take too long for them to remedy, but by the time they have them back under their control, it's too late. They're routed. We take out the remainder of the orbital encampments and make haste for the surface of Breya 3. OBSEC contacts us immediately before we beam down though.
Long-range sensors show that Tal Shiar reinforcements are closing on this location. We must be swift. The Tal Shiar base is mobilizing. We need to hurry if we're going to have any chance to find Hakeev and his Iconian connections. I'll meet you on the surface.
With reinforcements on the way, the battle isn't won yet, so we beam down into the war zone.
We have a problem. The Tal Shiar are trying to jam transporters, and particle leakage from the strange technology here is affecting our targeting sensors. My scientists can't identify the type of particles yet, but several of my troops are reporting in from different locations. Transporters are being diverted. You're on your own for the moment. My scans show that the Tal Shiar have secured some areas of this base with force fields. You'll have to disable them, or find ways around them. Hakeev will be somewhere well defended, but we have him cornered now.
Transporters are being diverted. This explains why I don't have my away team. I wonder if it's the same thing they used in the Colosseum, as they did so by redirecting our transport there too. Our science officer confirms that the away teams are sporadically placed and comms are spotty. Not the best foot to launch an invasion on, but we've hit them by surprise, and at the moment that's our only advantage. We need to press the attack. This mission unfolds as a string of responses on your captain's part. No away team? Adapt. Force fields block the path? Neutralise. Transporters are sporadic? Look for opportunities as they arise. Still, we're not here to slaughter. This technician spots us and radios ahead, but he doesn't open fire, so we let him live. What's more, we have an opportunity to beam in reinforcements, and the technician just called in a single intruder, so they won't be expecting numbers. As our science officer pointed out, they're having more luck with site-to-site transports than ship-to-ground, so throughout this mission we'll periodically get aid from either Starfleet crew or a squad of OBSEC Remans. We have some locations transmitted to us to mark out spots for Tarsi's favourite cooking ingredient, spatial charges. This constant beaming in and out of crew reminds me of the stories of Miles O'Brien on Setlik 3, where he utilised a single squad of soldiers and transporter systems to beam Starfleet officers around the encampments of Cardassian forces during the Border Wars. Since then, beaming in with quick strikes before beaming out seems to have been adapted into a common strategy for Starfleet. And the Tal Shiar. We will have to play it safe here. We have no medic to back us up if we're injured, so liberal use of hit and run and breaking line of sight with cover is advised. Also plays your captain's strengths. Hale is carrying a close range rifle, so a single opponent is best engaged at close range after charging them, relying on shielding to absorb incoming fire. We can see the signs of battle raging around us. The scattered away teams seem to be causing havoc all over, while Scorpion fighters swarm the air but without direction. Just as in orbit, the Tal Shiar's defences are working against them. The spread out away teams are thinning their forces, and with us gradually learning to counter their scramblers, we're negating their numbers. Likewise, the air superiority is being countered by our being in such an urban area, and their Scorpion fighters are no match for the Dunkirk and Sardinia in orbit. Speaking of, it's time to utilise that advantage. Relaying targeting information, we can call in an orbital strike. Yeah, I love those words. Pressing on, we get the drop on a Romulan squad. See what I mean about their randomisation of our transport locations being a double-edged sword? Attacking from behind, we free up the Reman patrol. If we're quick enough, we can also stabilise wounded allies. We plant another spatial charge and let the Reman squad guard it before pressing on. We need to make our way back to the rooftops. A Scorpion fighter intercepts us as we are at our most vulnerable. Back down in the streets, we have aerial cover, but up here we're exposed. The only shelter we have is that of these stone rooftop chimneys. Fortunately, although fast, the Scorpion cannot maintain full speed in such a low altitude because, well, buildings. Although Star Trek Nemesis would disagree, it's not really a good idea to fly at full speed at an enclosed space. The fighter soon has enough of playing cat and mouse and moves off to engage other targets. In fact, the only thing it accomplished was wrecking this console. I wonder if it was important and they were trying to hide some data. The streets seem to be more secure now as Reman forces consolidate in this area, but it's all a matter of time. If we lose our ships in orbit, we lose transporters, along with every other advantage they bring. And with Tal Shiar reinforcements inbound, that's a very real possibility. We set the final spatial charge and Romulan agents beam in behind us. We can summon reinforcements of our own, but it's best for now to leg it round the corner to the Reman squads we just passed. That's more of a fair fight. I found this more effective than waiting for Starfleet personnel to materialise through transport. With them dispatched, we can begin our scan for Colonel Hakeev. Temet calls in that Hakeev is to the southwest of my location, but there's a force field separating us. Rather than try to overwhelm the force field with firepower or deactivate it, we can instead exploit their defences once again and reroute the power to another location. No sooner have we done that than Skavrin calls in. "In a minute, Skavrin, I'm taking fire." Hunkering down, he tells us that there is a keycard required to open a location that Colonel Hakeev has locked down. Hacking would take too long, so instead we're just going to steal a keycard from a high-ranking Tal Shiar. The enemies on the opposite roof cannot reach us, so I'm not going to waste time engaging them. Instead, let's see about getting that keycard. Along the way, we can take the higher of the two walkways previously sealed by the force field to a lookout point. From here we can call in a second orbital strike to destroy a turret emplacement being set up to ambush our squads. Toasty! Moving along, we then encounter a likely looking Romulan patrol and are able to call in Starfleet personnel to our location. A surprise firefight erupts as emerald disruptors and crimson phasers strike the shields and bodies of soldiers on both sides. Searching the body of the Centurion medic yields the keycard we needed, and our reinforcements, job done, beam back out again to assault a new location. Looking around from this vantage point, we can see that the haze fills the air, the smoke, the fires, and the atmosphere of strife echoing through its hard stone streets and spires. I've got to remind myself that this acrid place, although it looks like a city, has been abandoned by the wealthy Romulans who called this place a resort. Its only inhabitants now is the Tal Shiar. Temet radios down from the Dunkirk. She must have withdrawn from the field. The ship is experiencing the telltale signs of an Iconian virus, and its systems are failing. A complete computer purge and restoring files from archives would remove the virus, but that's going to take the ship out of commission for a while, and even then, Hakeev could transmit another. We're going to have to shut down whatever Iconian tech we find on this planet to prevent that possibility.
None of this matters. We just need to open the gate, bring the Iconians here, and it will be over.
That was Taurus's plan, too. And you saw how that ended for her.
We finally have the opportunity. Victory is within our grasp.
You call this victory? It's over. This is done. You're done.
No! We can still finish.
She hung up on you. Ah, Hakeev, breakups are tough.
You're the cause of all of this! You don't even understand what you walked into. You're too late to stop it. A lowly being such as yourself cannot even recognize the true power the Iconians represent. And that any future will depend on a place in their regime. All you've done is arrive in time for the end of existence as you know it.
We're able to call in for site-to-site support before the fight begins to even the playing field. Hakeev will deploy many gadgets during this fight, support drones, grenades, as do his guards. Taking out his escort will provide an easier time of things, and we can do so while they tangle with our own troops. And it doesn't take long before Hakeev is vulnerable. But he simply beams in more Tal Shiar.
Fool! I can call as many reinforcements as I need.
Not now. My ship has put an interference field around this plaza. It's over.
He has one final wave of reinforcements and no escape. What's more, Obisek is able to call in his own reinforcements. I like how he entered the fray before his troops did. He's eager to end this, to fulfill his vengeance. In contrast, Hakeev hides inside an impenetrable shield, allowing his soldiers to die defending him. Hakeev, on your left!
You think you've stopped me? The Iconians already know. They know everything. They'll be here soon. And nothing you've done will make a difference. It's not over. It's over for you.
That shot rang out with a definitive finality about it. So here we stand, amid the ruins and fires of Hakeev's efforts. But it's not over. Not yet. No rest for us. The Iconian tech is still here. Our ships and crews are still in danger.
The road to Reman independence will be long and bloody, but this is a significant step. While I do not seek your approval of my methods, the crossing of our paths has been fortuitous. It's a pity you cannot aid us further in our liberation. You have my respect, and the respect of my crew. If in the future we encounter one another again as allies, I would find this gratifying. I must return to the Zedinia. I recommend you finish what you came to do and leave quickly.
Temet calls down with the origin point for the virus. We'll have to use the keycard we obtained to enter the laboratory that they kept the Iconian systems in. Hakeev's passcodes grant us access to these structures. Their interior layout is like stepping inside of a ribcage of sorts, its arching green beams clearly out of place with the monolithic stone architecture of Breya 3. At the termination of this arcing meld of Romulan and Iconian tech is an orb suspended amid arches, just like the one we saw in Iconia all that time ago when we apprehended Taris for her insane plans to use Iconian technology to time travel and prevent the destruction of Romulus. On the opposite side of the street, at the other base of the stone arch, is another facility with a technician inside. Well, I'm sort of glad he escaped. I didn't want to have to stun him, not before we're about to blow this place up. And I'm not surprised to see that they have a gateway here. It must have been one either recreated by the Tal Shiar, or more likely gifted to them directly by the Iconians. I doubt it was here all along. We set the charges and leave to reach a safe area, ready to disable the tech on Brea once and for all. That stone arch is an Iconian gateway. The one we saw in the lab is dwarfed by the size of this thing. You could move armies through here. And we can see that one of the locations it cycles through is the Klingon Empire. The technician's use of the smaller gate must have triggered the bigger arch, and I've been walking under that thing without knowing. Oh, great. The gate's activation has acted as an interference field for transporters, and the last of the spatial charges are already set. Besides, would they even make a dent? The only option left is to target the gateway from orbit. There's no way to deactivate it from here, it seems. Besides, I wouldn't know what I was pressing. Well, forgive me for looking for an alternative, but I can't say I enjoy the notion of being this close to ground zero for a high-yield photon bombardment. Time is running out. Those Tal Shiar reinforcements must be closing in, and I need to get out of here. Leaping over fallen debris and running behind a fountain into the southwest corner of the plaza, where we fought Hakeev, we can take shelter under a collapsed wall.
Sela is here with her flagship. I'm trying to hold her off, but the Zedenia is no match for a ship of that class. You'd better return to your vessel quickly.
Alright, that'll have to do. No more Iconian gateways. But now the IRW Lival is here. It must have been nearby. We just saw Empress Sela earlier, arguing with Hakeev.
Enemies of the Romulan people, this insurrection will not stand. Your hostile actions against the Romulan colony world are acts of war. Surrender now. You and your crews will be treated fairly as prisoners.
We have our work cut out for us. I will assist you. After all, we face a common foe.
Trust Sela to spin a narrative that gives her justification. Colony world my impulse engine. It looks like Romulan reinforcements had already arrived, so perhaps the Empress had arrived with them to rein in Hakeev. Right now though, the Lival's engaged with Obisek and it looks like they've acquired some help from a couple of warbirds. Obisek's offer to help is appreciated. Technically our operation here on Brea is done, and we could withdraw, but doing so at this time feels wrong. As we fought our way in, I guess now we have to fight our way back out. The Lival is as formidable as it was when it attacked over Vulcan, and the ship retains its ability to cloak, which Sela will use to disengage before manoeuvring to a new spot unseen and resuming her attack. It also has a habit of deploying tractor drones to lock a target in place, removing it from the fray until it frees itself. During the struggle, we call in some old favours, bringing in a pirate vessel from our skirmishes on Nimbus 3 to help.
Your last chance to surrender. The full force of this dreadnought will be turned against any who persist in this foolish.
It cloaks to relocate and we lose sight of it. The sound and signals of cloaking ships are all around us, making it difficult to quickly reacquire her, momentarily causing a lull in fire. But soon it reappears and we re-engage. It's down to under half its hull integrity, but its shielding has been restored by its time spent hidden. We divert power to the main cannons and unleash a firestorm of battering energy against the protective walls. We breach the shielding and hammer home our advantage.
My ship is disabled. You must finish this.
Racket, she cloaked again.
Sensors are reading a gate opening. There's a ship coming through. Can't get a sensor lock on it.
Are you kidding me? That asteroid is a gate.
They're taking the Leoval in tow. They're heading back through the gate.
While that asteroid gate was cycling, I saw the Romulus system, a barren red planet, Earth's space stock, and what looks like the Hobus system, but I didn't see the final destination for the unknown vessel. I say unknown, but we can suspect its origin. We couldn't read it with sensors, suggesting an advanced form of nullification, but I'm willing to bet it was It looks like the Iconian gateways can be disguised as all sorts of things then. Ornamental arches, asteroids, natural phenomena. Hopefully they learned a thing or two about discretion from the Tal Shiar. I say hopefully because the alternative is that the demons of air and darkness have always had gates hidden in plain sight, and we've only ever found the obvious ones. They could be everywhere. A doorway, a bridge, a cave entrance. How many signposts do I walk under on a daily basis? What if... Best not think about it. We disable this final gateway, but it is a stark reminder that although we've dealt with the Tal Shiar and solved the Romulan mystery, there are older forces at work here, ones far more adept at subterfuge and power plays than even the infamous Romulans. Seela is missing, presumably with whoever abducted her, so this isn't going to bode well for the Star Empire. And this last mission had an incredibly sketchy feel to it. We found our suspicions were correct, but to outside powers, it looks like Starfleet allied with OPSEC, who was going to deploy Thalaron weapons against civilian targets not that long ago.
Starfleet will continue the search for Seela's vessel, but as of right now we have no idea where the Iconians took her, or if she went willingly. I find this turn of events disturbing. Seela's absence will throw the Romulan Star Empire into even greater chaos. We have found that the Romulans are at their most dangerous when their backs are against the wall. Like wounded Salot cats, they will strike out at anyone in reach, and the Federation may bear the brunt of their fury. The return of the Iconians could change everything.
Admiral Tenay has a point. Just look at how the destruction of Romulus forged so many factions, all lashing out at each other, as well as the Federation and Vulcan. The Star Empire's remnants were unified under Seela, but there were Taris's loyalists. Hakeev usurped the Tal Shiar and went rogue. Datan forged the Republic and wants no part of the other factions, and OPSEC led the Remans in revolt against every military Romulan location. All the while there are still millions of displaced colonists, refugees, just trying to scrape by, yet the Romulans have still proved to be a danger to themselves and the other Alpha and Beta Quadrant powers. What's more, they've invited in greater threats like the Hirogen, the Alachi, and now we learn that the Iconians may be behind everything.
I agree. The Iconians are a cause for concern. Their motives are still unknown to us, as are their plans for the Quadrant. What we do know is that they desire chaos. Many of the problems we currently face can be directly traced back to their machinations. If they had not antagonized the Undine, would we now be at war with the Klingon Empire? It may be that they want the powers of the Quadrant so fractured that we will not be able to unite against them. We cannot allow that to happen.
After ending our call with the Admiral, we learn that OPSEC has sent a message to us to meet in the Agrama sector. We set a course for the system and meet him at the Vault, the expansive Romulan foundry of R&D.
I fight for my people. We will be free.
Still spouting the rhetoric, eh, OPSEC? Hello would have been sufficient. Why have you returned to the Vault anyway?
Our base in the Dara system was heavily damaged by the Tal Shiar. We have reactivated the Vault, and we will continue to rebuild it. A place that was once used to create weapons of war will now be a home, where all are welcome.
We know from our own excursions into the monstrous frame of that station that there were Romulan refugees hiding there that feared the Remans. They even claimed to be hunted by them at one point. Tell me, OPSEC, what do you plan with them?
I have no quarrel with them. My people fought for freedom and for peace. We can learn to live with the Romulans, if they will learn to live with us.
I hope that's true. We've met many Romulans who want nothing more than to live, like the miners under Madran. I wonder how the Empire will fare now without Sela. Any leads your end?
I do not. I know the Romulan military is searching for her, but there have been no indications of where the demons took her, or what their plans for her are.
Disappeared off the face of the galaxy. Do you think she was working with the Iconians? She did seem at odds with Hakeev.
My instincts tell me no, but I have no proof. Sela was at odds with the Tal Shiar. I do not think it would have been so if they served the same master.
Any news from Romulan Space? How do you think they'll take the loss of their Empress, let alone Hakeev and Taris?
The petty arguments and plays for power Sela crushed have begun anew. There are dozens who wish to rule the Empire. It will take some time before a new leader arises. Until then, much blood will be shed.
Yeah, that's not good. Though under her reign, that aggression was only redirected outwards, and her empire was built on propaganda and fear. Oh, and it looks like one of your fighters has asked to join my crew. That's news to me.
I wish him well. I never wanted to rule my people, and I put no restrictions on their freedom. If there are Remans who wish to rebuild their lives elsewhere, they are welcome to do so.
What about you? What are you going to do now? Do not say Thaler on research.
My people are free, but there is much more to do. The Romulans hate and fear us, and we do not have a planet to call our own. I do not think our fight is over.
I see, looking for a new homeworld. Just remember, that's what the majority of Romulans want as well.
Farewell, my friend. I would welcome the chance to fight by your side again.
With our farewells to Obisek, he sends us a gift to commemorate our campaign together. I guess he feels he owes us, and I guess he does. If it wasn't for our insistence, Starfleet may not have been bothered to intervene at all. It was only the strength of our conviction, Admiral Tenay's suspicions, and a lot of circumstantial evidence that led us down the paths that we took. That's a long way back to the Armiger docked at Earth's space dock. I think it's about time we utilise the transwarp system to get back home. That's far quicker. We have Admiral Janeway to thank for recovering that piece of equipment from the Delta Quadrant. So there we have it. The Romulan Mystery Story Arc is complete, and we have a new ornament to show the dedication of our efforts. The Romulan people are still in for a tough time, but it falls to powers like the Republic to reunify their people, and the Federation will aid in whatever capacity it can. It would just be far easier if we weren't diverted by a war, but I'm beginning to suspect that's the point. Thank you for joining us on this adventure through the ever-growing narrative of Star Trek Online, and I hope to see you in the next part, where we begin a new chapter and return to Deep Space Nine. Until then, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. And I need a drink.